All right, we are on to ellipses, okay? When we built our conics, we had our conics in our hand. We talked about the ellipse is when you are cutting the top of the cone at an angle further down. And an ellipse is a set of all points in a plane such that the key word here is the sum of the distance to two fixed points is called the foci. So these are my foci. Foci means plural for focus. Foci.
I have an idea.
Okay. So listen and let me finish teaching. Thank you. Great idea. Here we go. It's given a constant. So standard form. So your standard form for a horizontal ellipse. So we're going to start with. First thing first is your H and your K are still liars, and they are the center of your ellipse. Okay. The next thing we're going to point out is that your A squared is going to be bigger than your B squared. Okay. Your A squared is going to be bigger than your B squared. Okay. Your bigger denominator is going to be with your X. That's how you know that you have a horizontal ellipse. Okay. Because yes. Okay. So, foci. So this is what we're at. I'm sorry. Our X. So because the denominator of the X is the larger, that's how you know you're going to have a horizontal ellipse. And so what this tells us is that we have our major and minor axis. Our major is going to equal double our A. And because it's horizontal, our major is going to be going from left to right, parallel to the x-axis. Our minor equals double our B value. And it's going to be parallel to the y-axis. To find the value of your foci are along the same line as your x value. So your x is going to stay the same. I mean, your x is not going to stay the same. Your k is going to stay the same, but your x is going to be plus or minus your c value, and your y value is going to be the same as your center. Okay, so that's our horizontal. Our vertical, pretty much the same thing with the vertical. H and K are still your center. And your A squared is still going to be greater than your B squared. How you know that it's vertical is now that your A is with your Y. What this means for your ellipse is that your major axis, which still equals double your A, is now parallel to your y-axis. Your minor axis, which equals 2b, is going to be parallel to your x-axis. Because it's a vertical, your x value of your center is going to be the same x value for your foci, but your k values are what you're adding and subtracting your c from. So your foci is going to be h, comma, k plus or minus c. You need to be able to tell the difference between them in their forms. Okay. All right. How do you find c? I'm glad you asked. So to find your c, we use the formula c squared equals a squared minus b squared. So therefore, c equals the square root of a squared minus b squared. Okay. So note that you're in an ellipse, your a squared is going to always be the larger. Okay. It's going to always be your larger. It's always going to be your major axis. Okay. All right. So let's put some of this to use. So looking here, first we're going to go determine whether it's horizontal or vertical. So we're going to decide, is this horizontal or vertical? Remember, horizontal means your x has the larger denominator. Vertical means your y has the larger denominator. This would be horizontal. Okay. So now we're going to focus on our center. Your center is your H and your K for this because there's no visible H and no visible K. Our center is at the origin. So I'm going to plot that. To find your A is going to be equals the square root of your largest denominator. To find your b, it equals the square root of the smaller denominator. So what's our a and our b? 5 and 2. What your a and your b tells you is how far from your center you're going to be going left and right. Because it's horizontal, it's going to be left to right for the major. Because and then our minor is going to be bottom top. Okay, so I'm going to go 5 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to go 2 up. 1, 2, 2 down. 1, 2. Should have used up and down. I'm going to use bottom to top. I don't know. Either way. Okay, so therefore we know that our major equals 10 and our minor equals 4 units. Do we see that? Okay, your C equals the square root of your a squared plus b squared. So the square root of minus 25 minus 4. What is 25 minus 4? 21. So your C is going to be the square root of 21. Okay, so remember for your foci, since it's horizontal, your y values are going to stay the same. Your x values are what's changing. So we know it's going to be 0 and 0, but we got to find your x. And to find it, it's just 0 plus or minus the square root of 21. And what is that going to be? There we go. Negative square root of 21 and positive square root of 21. So when you're plotting your foci, you know that it's going to be a little bit more than 4, but smaller than 5. Or you can use a calculator to get an approximate decimal. Okay. And there's your ellipse. All right, questions about the ellipse? Okay, we're gonna do number 2, and then I'm gonna let you do number 3, and then we're gonna move on. All right, number 2. Determining first, is it horizontal or vertical? Vertical, why is it vertical? There we go, the denominator is greater than the y. Okay, this time your center, you actually have your h and k now, right? We have our h and we have our k. So where's our center? 2, negative 3. Okay, so we're at 2, negative 3. Next, we're going to find our a and our b. Your a equals the square root of your larger denominator. Your b equals the square root of your smaller denominator. So what's our a and our b? 4 and 3. Because it's a vertical, that lets me know that I'm going to find my major is going to have to equal 8, and my minor is going to equal 6. And vertical means that my major is going to be going up and down. So I'm going to go 4 up and 4 down. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to go 3 left and right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. From the center. Why is okay? I'm listening. Left is to plot your foci. So got it. So we have 16 minus 9, which equals square root of 7. Okay, because I have a vertical, that means that my x's are going to stay the same. So I know I have 2 comma, 2 comma, but I need to find the last. So we're looking at negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 7. And those are going to give our y values of our foci. For this one, you're going to go ahead and put in the calculator and get approximate values. So if you have a calculator, please do that and share with the class. What are our approximate values? We have a negative what? Yeah, I was like, I didn't get that earlier. Did you put in -3?
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah. So you have -3 plus the square root of 7. Then you're gonna have -3 minus the square root of 7. And so you should get -3500 and -5 and all right. So I'm now going to pause and let you all do the last one before we move on. And go. All right, so really quick. On 3. Hey, on 3. Horizontal or vertical? It is horizontal because the denominator of the x is greater, right? What is your center?
It is -4.
What was your A?
3.
3. What was your B?
5.
What was your C?
2.
What were your foci?
It is 1.
Okay, it's because it would have been -4 plus or minus 2 for your x. Okay, all right, on B, it's a graph. You're gonna get an approximate value. What was your approximate value for the square root of 5? Four. All right. So I'm going to go to -4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go up 1. Because it's a horizontal, this is where I'm going left and right, and this is how I'm going up and down. So I'm going to go left 3. 1, 2, 3. Go right 3. 1, 2, 3. Go up 2 and some change. Go down 2 and some change. And here is my ellipse. Plot my foci, which is at -6, 1. And at -2, 1. And there's your ellipse. Huh? Okay, questions about graphing and analyzing from the equation. These, your center and your foci. No? Okay. On to the next part. So part B. So for part B, we're going to be in conic form. So if I'm giving it to you in conic form, then we need to be able to put it into standard form, okay? So that we can analyze it. In conic form, we need to pay attention to the fact that we've learned already 2 conic forms, right? So we've talked about a circle. And in conic form for a circle, your A equals your B, right? We've talked about parabola. Okay, and with the parabola, what's the special here?
Your y correct.
Exactly. You're gonna have term A or term B, right? You won't have both. Okay, so that's how you know so far. Those are the 2 biggest distinctions, right? So for your quiz tomorrow over circles and parabola, you need to be comfortable identifying the difference. Deasia didn't put it up there, but it's on your agenda page. Not my fault. Blame her. All right. From ellipse A and B. On here, they must be the same size. So they both are positive or they both are negative. So they both have to be both positive or both negative, okay? But your A cannot equal your B, okay? A cannot equal B because therefore it would be a circle, right? If A equaled B, then it would be a circle because therefore it's a radius and same distance, okay? All right, standard form. You just work it out and then go from there. Notice here in standard form that it equals what? 1, okay? In standard form, it has to equal 1. And we're going to go through and follow the steps. So to do this, there are 5 steps that we follow. Well, I can list it down to 4. I think I did this. So there's 4 steps that we're going to follow. So step 1 is to move your constant and regroup. We're going to remove the constant and regroup. That's going to be 9x squared plus 36x plus 25y squared minus 150y. And I'm moving a positive, so it's going to become a negative 36. How do you feel about step 1? Okay. Step 2, we're going to factor out leading coefficients, and complete the square. Now, this one is going to be a different completing the square because of the factoring. So we're going to factor out our leading coefficient. Our leading coefficient here is 9. So when we factor out 9, we're left with x squared plus 4x plus, and how do we complete the square here? 4 plus, we're going to factor our leading coefficient. Our leading coefficient is 25. And we're going to be left with y squared minus 9y. That's not 9, that's 6. My bad, I jumped ahead. 6 plus, and then what completes the square here? 9 equals, and we already have negative 36. Okay, what makes this a special one is that when you factor something out and you're completing the square, when you add it to the other side, it has to be taken into consideration. So on the other side, I'm not just adding 4, but I'm adding 36. I'm adding 9 times 4. Does that make sense? So it'd be plus 9 times 4. Same thing here. I factored out 25. I completed the square with 9. So it has to be plus 25 times 9. Okay. So after we completed the square, then step 3 is to factor and simplify. So we're going to factor and simplify.
Oh, it does. This square.
So my factors here, we have 9 times x plus 2 squared plus 25 times y minus 3 squared equals negative 36 plus 25 times 9 is going to give me 225. All right, the last thing you're going to do is divide so that your right side equals 1. So step 4 is divide by constant. So I divide everything by the constant. So we have 9 divided by 225, x plus 2 squared, plus 25, y minus 3 squared, divided by 225, and now that's going to equal 1. Clean it up. Toodles, x plus 2 squared over 25 plus y minus 3 squared over 9 equals 1. And there is your standard form. So from here, you can tell me that because your denominator is bigger with the x, that you have a horizontal ellipse. Oh. Okay. Ellipse, and it with a center at negative 2, 3. And you just go from there. Okay, so then there you can keep analyzing, but that is the gist of it. Those are your 4 steps that you will follow. Toodles.